The issue opens in classic Spider-Man fashion, where we see a group of thieves robbing a jewelry store, revealing themselves to be called Mirage. Their 5-finger discount shopping spree would quickly be cut short though, where they were interrupted by Spider-Man, who mocked them for their ridiculous matching yellow outfits. Getting some false confidence, the villain told the wall crawler that he could not catch all of them, where he said this was quite true, and then sent in his backup, which was his new and colorful sidekick Spider-Boy, who he said can help with D-list villains, which very much insulted poor Mirage, who is trying very hard to make a name for himself in the villainy world. Phasing through the man's illusions, Spider-Boy asked Spidey for some pointers on how to take down the dude, where a friendly neighborhood streetlight then showed the truth that only the real Mirage cast a shadow. With the man webbed up and admitting he was a D-lister after being beat by a mere child, Spidey returned the jewels to the woman and introduced Spider-Boy as his webless wonder, where the kid remarked he could have done better if he actually did have web shooters, where Peter told him that he was not ready, but was ready for something else. And that something else was getting to have ice cream above Times Square. Honestly, that's not a bad deal at all. I'm down for having ice cream at Spider-Man, and I'm a grown man. For some brief backstory, we discover that Spider-Boy's name is Bailey Briggs, and had actually always been a part of Peter's life and a resident of Earth 616. That is until after the events of the last Spider-Verse, where we learned his existence had been erased from reality. Discussing some multiverse madness of his own, Peter told Bailey that he had recently been lost in a dimension where his Uncle Ben had never died, and now that he was back, it felt like he lost him all over again. Bailey then said that this was not quite fair, as he had vanished and came back and no one remembered him, and Peter vanished and came back with bonus memories. Gotta give it to the kid, it's not a very fair trade. Despite all of this, Bailey told Peter he was still living the dream of getting to work with Spider-Man, where Pete asked him some deeper questions on how exactly the kid was adjusting to his new life, and asked the more fundamental questions like how is he living, eating, going to school, surviving, things he probably should have asked him to begin with. Bailey then told Peter that he was not being entirely honest with him and went to take off his mask, where Spidey stopped him and warned him that they were on camera and was not about to have the kiddo's identity blasted on a billboard on Times Square. Thanking the wall crawler for the save, the pair's conversation was suddenly cut short, where they were met by a mysterious superpowered woman whose body was made entirely of blue fire. Telling Spider-Man that she was here for revenge on the guy for ruining her life, Peter said he had no idea who she was, which only angered the woman as she proceeded to blow up the building where the men were standing, with them just narrowly avoiding the attack. Absolutely admitting that this villain was an A-lister, Spidey told Bailey to get to safety, where he, still wanting to be useful, told him that he would deal with the crowds. As Peter led the woman away from the crowded district, we see that their duel was being overlooked by none other than Dr. Octavius, who remarked that this woman of fire was his greatest creation. We then flash back to Otto's work as a scientist, where he was working on a controlled fusion reactor, basically the small son from the plot of Spider-Man 2. This work would even carry on through his time as the Superior Spiderman, where he hired the brilliant scientist Estrella Lopez to help complete the project. However, due to his carelessness for others, the unstable nature of the project caused Lopez to be bombarded with solar rays, granting her the abilities we now see in present day. Believing her to be too dangerous, Otto, as Spider-Man, had locked the woman away, where she later broke out of her containment, swearing revenge at what Spider-Man did. Lady, calm down. He made you hot. Like, literally and figuratively. Lopez, now calling herself Supernova, blasted into a nearby water tower, where Spidey was able to restrain it with his webs before it could crush the horrified citizens below. Using this giant water lemon to make giant water lemonade, Peter then whipped the tower at the girl to let off some steam, only for it to barely faze her, swearing that nothing would stop her from killing him. We then see that the quick-thinking hero had used this as a distraction so he could slip into a nearby alley and change into his street clothes, for she was only after Spider-Man, not Peter, and that the only way to get her to go away was for Spider-Man to go away. As he changed, Peter's spider sense warned him of nearby danger. Thinking this was the act of the crazy Latina fire god nearby, Peter proceeded to change, not realizing that one of Otto's drones were in the distance, catching the man's identity in the act. As Peter suspected, Supernova could no longer locate the hero and swore she would find him, leaving the scene much to his relief. We then see Doc Ock looking over the carnage as his Octobots brought back the footage from the battle. Given that he was in a new body, Otto only had fragmented memories of his time as Superior Spiderman, where we now see that he had the final piece with the drone that recorded Peter in the alley. Now knowing that Peter was Spider-Man again, Otto was flooded with the memories of his time as the webbed hero, vowing to return to his mantle once again.